Welcome, everybody. We have Matt Mass here, EVW sports like athlete, superstar, also known as the Wildhorse. Welcome, Matt.
How's it going, Dexter? Thanks for having me, man.
Oh no, thanks for agreeing to come on. And Matt is a very interesting person to watch while on stage. Like you're one of those wrestlers that I've seen. There are like you have an aura with you, not just because you're tall, but the way that you present yourself when you go on stage, it's none other. Like it's very different. Like I know we have other athletes that have a little bit of a style of their own, and you yourself have created your own segment that between Robert and I, when we were talking about, okay, well, we have the Swiss card coming up, we have the Atlantic City and whatnot, and with you, it's like, Matt Mass. That's the guy. That's the
Yeah.
guy. He adds a lot of flavor, a lot of character. And I actually once asked you, like, is it, a show? Like, is it like, a character that you like, flip a switch? But no, like literally a minute ago when I was just asking you, hey, is there something that we shouldn't talk about or anything that's off topic? And what was your response?
I don't give a fuck.
Right,
I'm an
right.
open book, man.
Exactly. And this is just exactly how you are in real life and how you're at the table. No difference. Last Sunday, I had a question. Hey, what are my thoughts about having the athletes scripted, right? Athletes getting scripted, and I'm like, no, I don't. Our athletes are not scripted. Our athletes are just who they are. That's literally what it is. And so one of the questions right here I'm seeing, where did that wild horse name come from?
uh, well, it's kind of a little bit of a story behind it. So initially, Neil Pickup, we all know and love the guy, has come up with some of the best nicknames for people in the sport of arm wrestling. Some of them are awesome. Some of them are pretty fucking lame. Uh, One of them that I know the person himself isn't too fond of, but it's kind of stuck with him. Jerry Big Daddy Cataract, also known as the Gingerbread Man, right? By Neil Pickup, right? Neil's come up with a nickname for Devin Low Limits Lorette, Monster Michael Todd, like Leviathan for Richard Lupke's. You know what I mean? So he's majority of us he's given these names to, and initially when I first started competing, my name kind of started getting out there. He had an idea because my last name is Mask that my nickname should be Halloween, right? Matt Halloween Mask. And for him it's perfectly fine, it's all great and dandy because the guy's got a couple boys, right? So his house, I'm sure there was nothing but goblins and ghouls and demons and devils. You know, it was a scary situation in his house for Halloween. For myself, I was blessed with three beautiful daughters. So Halloween for me was always about fairies and princesses, and witches and stuff like that. So I didn't really wasn't too fond of the name. And I ended up when WL first really started to break through and they were doing their tournaments. One of my buddies was working for a company called Wildhorse Incorporated, and what they used to do was do sand separators in the oil field when they do flowbacks on wells. They had sand separators and stuff. And his boss came forward and was like, "Hey, you guys are going to Vegas. Let's get a sponsor for you." And I says, "Oh man, if you got to sponsor us," this says, "we'll make sure I get your name on ESPN," because everything was going to be through ESPN that time. So what we did was we got a bunch of sweaters and everything made up. And then we looked into it, found this dude from Vegas that did airbrush tattoo because you weren't supposed to wear any logos or anything in the event. It was only subliminal to whoever was actually sponsoring the events were able to have their logos. So I ended up getting our T-shirts that we were supposed to wear for competition. We cut the sleeves off and we had Wild Horse tattooed with airbrush down each one of our arms. So we went into the competition, and everybody that was there that didn't know me previous assumed that it was a tattoo. And when I ended up coming in the next day when it wasn't our turn to compete, we went to go watch some of the events, and I was wearing my Wildhorse sweater at the time. And they're like, "Oh, wait a sec, we got to cover up that logo." And they seen it, and they're like, "Oh, Wildhorse, wait a sec, that's you." Just based on how I was acting when I was on the stage, I'd be stomping my feet. I had longer hair, so it looked like I had a mane, was flaying in the air. So they ended up, from that day forward, I've been known as the Wildhorse. The company now has since gone under, but the name will now live on forever, right? So
Oh, wow, that's a pretty
So that's how I got
significant.
the Wildhorse, and then it kind of fits with me being from Alberta, and how I act when I'm on the stage, and I'm kind of like a Wildhorse, right? So it's just kind of blended together, and thank God we've gotten rid of Halloween, right? So
Halloween. I think Alex Cadecha wanted to. I think he had like the Predator, a
yeah,
mask that he was wearing. I think was it in Chicago, but yeah, it was. If anything, Halloween would fit him better for trying to do one of those cosplay kind of thing. But
yeah, maybe for him, right? Maybe for him.
yeah, yeah, you are not the. I got two goals as well, and so I totally Halloween is princess and tea parties.
Yes, 100%, right? So
Oh,
nothing
Jesus.
scary about it was Halloween at my house. Nothing scary at all. So
Yeah, but I think in America, wasn't there like a Halloween movie where it's like
yeah,
a murder thriller kind of thing, but
yeah.
Matt Halloween mask. No, Wallhouse it definitely fits your profile a lot better.
Yeah, I like
It,
Wild Horse better than Halloween. So
yeah, even if it wasn't because of the story, it also makes a lot more sense. Anyway, just for everybody here, what is where are you right now?
I'm actually sitting on a drilling rig just outside of Edmonton, Leduc area. So we're actually running in the hole right now with some of my tools. Be getting ready to do setting my liner hanger and cementing the well tonight. So I'm working. I'm a working man.
Okay, which explains the lower bit rate, but
Yeah, this
here.
isn't my Halloween costume by chance. This is my work apparel, right?
So you sent me this picture. That is was that barely taken? Oops, sorry,
Yeah, that
lost.
was taken a half an hour ago. So
Half an hour ago. Boom. So tell us a little
yeah.
bit about what do you do for work? Like like in a fifth grader and below kind of terminology.
Okay, keep it simple, simple.
Yeah.
Picture it like this. You know how you hear a lot about fracking nowadays in the oil field. Some say it's bad, some say it's good. Well, well, fracking. I put tools in the ground that help establish better fracking, better communication, and everything to the well bore and where you want your frack to go. So, fracking has all come about because you get different formations in the ground. A lot of them formations, some of them formations where you don't need to frack would be like beach sand and it's saturated with oil and gas. But you got
Mhm.
lots of formations that are like concrete that are saturated with oil and gas, but the oil and the gas doesn't really have much, there's no channels for it to travel through. So what fracking is will literally pump into the formation at high pressures, but it'll literally fracture the formation. When the formation fractures open, we end up pumping a bunch of sand in the well. As soon as we're done pumping, that sand is stuck in them fractures, and the fractures close. With that sand being stuck in between them fractures, now you got porosity into the well where you can actually flow oil and gas back up into it, right? So picture it as if you pour a cup of water, you pour a cup of water onto concrete and it'll just sit on top of it, doesn't really soak into it. That's because the ground doesn't have a lot of porosity. There's nowhere for it to flow and travel through. Picture pouring a cup of water onto a beach sand, the water just kind of seeps into the sand. So that's what we do is we fracture the formation. We have tools we put in the ground that'll fracture the formation. So when you pump your water and your sand in, it'll close and you can flow your well back through that. So what my tools that we do is selective fracking systems. So we'll have frac ports and packers that are in a well, and the well, your earth is in crusts, right? Everybody's drilling wells nowadays. They're not going straight down. They're actually going down to 90 degrees, and then they'll follow that crust, that one crust of the formation where all the oil and the gas, or they anticipate it to be, and they'll follow it out for 1 to 5, 6 kilometers, or say a mile to 2, 3 miles in length, right? And then we'll put all my production tools in the ground, where there'll be packers and frac ports alternated throughout. The frac ports are what you actually open up and frac through. The packers are literally just what isolates that different formation. So you have a 2,000-meter well straight out sideways. You'll put 100 stages in the ground. It's like almost having 100 wells in one. And then we'll frac each one of them sections, starting from the bottom, working the way up to the heel of the well, in order to give you better production. So as opposed to drilling 100 wells, you can drill one well, put a bunch of these stages into it, and it's like getting 100 wells in one. So that's what I do. I put those selective fracking tools in the ground. I also install liner hangers, cement stage tools, stuff like that.
So probably another follow-up question is that somebody just commented, which is, I think it's pretty funny. Matt, what the frack mass?
Yeah.
That's another good one. But now, obviously, your arm is also a pretty big component of arm wrestling, right? That's what how much workout do you get working at one of in the oil fields?
I do more delegating than I do physical work the whole time I'm out here. Like I'll be out on location for 36 to 54 hours at a time, depending on how long it takes from the time we start picking up our tools to function everything and get the heck out of here. But there's anywhere from a 4 to 8 hour window in 36 to 54 hours while we're picking up our tools and running them in the ground. So there's definitely some physical activity involved in that part of it, because every one of our tools weighs anywhere from 80 to 120 pounds. We'll push it in front of the joint, run up the stairs, you grab it as it comes up, take your protectors and everything off. Then when they bring the stump down, you put it in the stump, you screw it in. So you're constantly always using your hands and your fingers and your arms and everything throughout. So it's definitely a bit of a workout. It's not the same kind of workout you're going to get from arm wrestling. But if I arm wrestle too hard and I go out and I pick up tools, I can fucking feel it the whole fucking time, right? So it's still a physical job, but there's a lot more mental involved with it as well, right? So.
Right. Okay. Well, speaking of which, have you had any, knock on wood, had you had any like injuries from work related? Because I would imagine if something happens in an oil rig, it's probably a massive incident.
It depends. It depends. I've been doing this a long, long time, and I'm a firm believer in you don't put your fingers where you want to put your dick. So I'm a lot better at being able to watch. Majority of my hand injuries and everything that I've incurred have all majority been through arm wrestling, believe it or not. Like I've had a few injuries here and there, but it's I don't know, you kind of put some duct tape on it and carry on, right? So it's nothing that really set me back.
Well, so I think was it in Arlington where you told me, was it Arlington? Where you told me the story of what happened to your fingers. You just like, could you just tell everybody that story, what happened, where was it dislocation?
There's a story for each one of them, right?
Okay, all right. Let's hear all of them. These
two, my two pinkies, these were from football, just in high school, just getting in there, going full out, and I just popped them out of place, put them back in, tape them up, carry back on. This one here was probably the ugliest one. This one actually happened against Ron Bath at one of the quarterfinals in one of the WL events. We were gripped up. He was pulling back pressure. I was trying to contain him, and I tried to pronate through at the same time. When I did, my finger stayed still, my hand went, and it just ended up blowing my knuckle apart. Ended up still competing. Ended up going to try to face Marcio Barbosa after. My finger kept popping out of place. I ended up making it to the finals in the left arm. I was pulling Devin, and we're banging in the middle of the table with the left arm and just hanging onto the peg. Just the pressure I was using from hanging onto the peg, my finger kept popping in and out of place. There's that one video you can see where I'm trying to jab my finger, on the pan peg to try to pop it back in place mid match. But that's this one. This is the most ugliest looking one, but it ended up, I think the tendon right across the top here ended up just obliterating. So that's why I'm not able to fully straighten it all the way. I can if I like straighten it manually, but just as soon as I let it go, it just pops back down. So it doesn't really cause me any issues besides trying to get change in the bottom of my pocket or reach for my remote that falls between the cushions on the couch, right? Just because it doesn't really bandage jamming my
Right,
shit
right.
up. This one here was WL as well. Again, I had a super match against Nick Zena. I think it was round number 2. Same kind of issue I was going on with Ron. He was hitting the back pressure. I was trying to contain him. Tried to pronate through. Ended up, my finger stuck. My hand kept going. Ended up blowing my knuckle apart. But we were already there. We were 2 rounds in. We had to figure out who was going to win the best of 3 or whatever, or best of 5. So I kept competing every time we'd set up. It'd be thumbs down, close your hands. Every time I'd close my hand, as soon as I'd go to bend it a bit, this finger would just kick sideways and go over the top. So I'd end up blasting through. As soon as the round would be over, I'd pop it back into place, go back to the corner, get it popped back in, and trying to ice it. So, but that one, I think it dislocated probably about 6 times or 7 times throughout that match. Every time we had to do a restart, that was popping it back into place because it was popping out. So, but my mindset at the time, even now still, is, I was already there. I was already in pain. I might as well just keep going, try to get a reward from it, right? So, and I ended up being victorious on the match. So, lo and behold, I ended up winning that one. So, but yeah, that's how the whole hand claw kind of came into effect.
So Ron is responsible for 2 of the fingers.
Ron's responsible for this one.
Oh,
this
okay,
one
okay.
right here is Ron's finger, right?
Sorry.
Nick Zena is this finger, right? These ones are just young and dumb playing football. So
Wait. Sorry. To clarify, is in Canada, is football like American football, or is it like
yeah, it was the
soccer?
same thing. We weren't doing CFL rules. Canadian football, CFL rules are just bigger balls. The field's a little different. But it was NFL rules is what we were playing when I was playing high school football. It was the smaller balls, right? CFL, we
Right.
have bigger balls.
So another question is, is there any advantage, because if it's always in this position, do you get a better cup? I'm just wondering.
No, I don't think there's any advantage to it anymore. Definitely not, right? Like, even because if you look at it, like when I put my hand down, see this finger here, the one that's bent, look how much shorter it is, right? So, like, if I
Oh,
was able to have it straight, there's that much more surface area I'd be able to cover on my opponent's fingers, right?
that's
So,
fair. Yeah, that's fair. Nobody cups this way. Everybody cups
no,
this way. Yeah,
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 it's
yeah.
not. It
You're
never
right.
caused me. What it did was it created me to adapt because I wasn't able to apply certain pressures and go certain angles when I was still training because I just kept training through it, getting ready for my next match. And
Mm-hmm.
it caused me to adapt and try to start to pull in different angles and ended up being able to help strengthen me in some other areas where I wasn't as strong as I was because that was the only angle I could pull at the time, right? So
So, like, like surgically, they couldn't fix it, or you didn't just,
well,
it's
they
okay.
might have been able to fix it, but at the same token, your hands and your fingers, there's so many intricate, delicate little parts to it. Where if I was to go get surgery and say they did reattach it, but they ended up slightly tweaking or fucking something else up, then you know what I mean. And
Yeah.
it's not really preventing me besides getting change in the bottom of my pocket or I drop something between my center console and my truck or whatever and my seat, my finger jams up getting in there. Other than that, it's never really caused me any major issues, right?
Makes
So it's
sense.
like,
Makes
it
sense.
ain't too broke, no point trying to fix it and risk screwing it up even more, right? So, and
So,
now I got a fucking cool picture for my merch, right?
so it's safe to say that you don't play the guitar then.
I used to play guitar too.
Okay, well,
No, I haven't in fucking decades. So, but I used to be able to play a little bit, anyways. And I used to enjoy the finger picking too, right? I didn't even like using a pick. I like to be able to finger pick it. But now it's like my finger will miss the string every time I go to hit it. Right?
It's much higher up.
It's just a little shorter, eh? You know.
Yeah. I used to play a lot of guitar, and then I have some a syndrome, like they call it trigger finger, due to like a tendon issue. And then when
Yeah,
I
yeah.
when I went to the orthopedic, he looked at it. He says, "Well, I could fix it, but like you said, if it's not bothering you from something big, every time we cut open, there's a massive risk that something goes wrong. Like we nick one of the nerves, and you'll completely lose everything in that finger, which is going to be way worse." So that's why now I don't play the guitar very much. I
Yeah,
just
well, and that's because the fingers are so intricate, right? Like there's,
correct.
you got like 40 different bones just in your hand alone, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that's a little unfortunate, but I mean, make the best out of everything and put it in, like you said, put it on a merch.
it's
Just milk it as what
good
you can.
conversation piece, eh?
Well,
Yeah,
you know what? Thinking
yeah.
about it, I think it's a blessing in disguise for the viewers at home because you can't really flip a birdie now, dude.
Well, I can. I get. It's more like a fuck you, right? It's not a full fuck you. It's fuck you, right? It's only half of it's there.
Yeah, knowing you, like it's the option for the full version is gone. That may
Yeah,
remind me a
that's
little
why
bit
we're
of that.
more vocal with it, right?
Yeah, you have to compensate a little bit. Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so I know you mentioned you have goals. So here's a picture of your three lovely kids, and I believe I've met
Yep.
one, the one, just to the right of you. I can't remember her name, but I think she was in. Was it? Wasn't she in Arlington?
No, no. There was. I'd brought them. All
Oh,
three of them with me came last year to Florida. Um, is it my middle daughter came with me to Turkey? Were you in Turkey?
Ist- yes, Istanbul. That's
Okay,
right.
yeah. She came
Yeah.
with me to Turkey, and then I took her to Nice after Turkey. So we went and
Uh,
checked out Nice and Monaco, and took her for a tour. So that was the one just to the left of me, the one in the
yes.
middle.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Yeah,
How
that's the
old
one
are
you
they?
met. That one's Jenna. She's 19 now. So
19. What about your two other girls?
the one on the far left is my oldest, Trista. She's 22, and then the one on the far right is my youngest. She's 18. That's Kayla. So
18. So someone's
yeah.
asking, what's their height?
My youngest is 5'9". My middle is about 5'4", and my oldest is about 5'7".
Whoa. Jeez. That's really tall.
So
Well, yeah, that's really tall for a girl. Whew. Do any of them arm wrestle?
my two youngest used to a little bit. It's been 5-6 years or more since my middle daughter has competed. My youngest competed, I think, a couple years ago at provincials. She ended up winning provincials, but they're more interested in making money and chasing boys and causing havoc and working than arm wrestling right now, right? So
Okay, what is your attitude towards your daughter's boyfriend or
they don't have
guy?
boyfriends right now because I killed them. No, just kidding. No, I'm just joking. So as long as they treat my daughter good and they make her happy, I couldn't care less. And he's got actually a little bit of a drive and some motivation to him and some goals in life. That's what I want. As long as he can make my girls happy, that's at the end of the day, it's me passing the throne on to them, right? But
Right.
if they fuck up, I'm back in the picture, right?
So, like the first time meeting one of those boys, are you the kind of dad with like the shotgun at the doors, like, hey, bring them back by
Nope, I don't
10?
need to. I don't need to. They're usually scared before they even get to the house because they hear about me. So, yeah.
Matt, you're 6'5" or 6'6"?
6'5.5",
6'5".
6'6", something
So
like
on
that.
a
Depends
good
on what
day,
convenience
6'6".
store I walk into, right? So
into the afternoon. Yeah, that's wonderful. The does so are they in college? Do they live with you? Do you have that
No,
benefit?
my oldest, she actually owns her own place right now. She works full time at the food bank as a marketing coordinator. So she's all solo on her own now. My middle daughter and my youngest, they're both still at home, back and forth between me and my ex. Um, my middle daughter is an EA in the mornings, teacher's assistant, and she's upgrading school right now to go to schools because she wants to become a teacher. That could change though, right? She's a woman; she could change her mind in a month or two. But that's her plan right now. My middle daughter, she is working full time at Glassmaster Auto Glass in Red Deer, and then she's also going to be going back to school. She's doing a 12-week course at the end of October for her EMT, and then
Oh,
next fall she plans on going to school for firefighter paramedic. Right. So
oh, that would be great because at some of our venues, for everybody who doesn't know this, but they also require an EMT to be on standby,
oh
right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
some convention halls and whatnot, they do require that. And who knows? It's a win-win. Bring your
all
daughter
right,
along, get her, you know, get a
yeah.
get a trip out of things, and support you while on the sidelines. So
I don't think she'd be opposed. So
yeah.
I
Well,
usually try to take them with me anywhere I can go. Right. So if I'm able to and the funds are good, then I usually try to take them along for trips, anyways. Right. So I have been taking turns with them, taking them overseas. My oldest, she came to Turkey. We went to Greece. My youngest came to Dubai, and we hung around Dubai for a couple of days. And my middle daughter, you were there when I took her to Turkey, and then we
yeah.
went and checked out Nice and Monaco. So I've taken them to Florida with me when I've gone a couple times. So it's
Now,
but
what about Switzerland?
Switzerland. I'm going solo this time. So I'm going solo. They're all gung ho about it. Says, well, Dad needs to do some trips alone too sometimes, right? So
But of all places, it's Switzerland.
yeah.
Like,
So
it's not the place you should be skipping on. It's Switzerland.
yeah. Well, it also costs a lot more to get them there too, right?
Fair, fair, fair.
Yeah.
But we just look at the tickets, at least from where Robert and I are from Salt Lake City. It costs only about like a little over $600. Well, that was like 2 weeks ago, but it
Yeah.
was
You're
only about
also in the States too, right? States is a little better than it is from Canada.
oh, okay.
So
Well, that I'm not as familiar with, but oh, okay. So anyway, for everybody else, where do you reside? Like the city. You don't have to tell us the exact address, obviously, for safety reasons these
yeah, I
days.
live in Red Deer, Alberta, right smack
Oh,
dab between Calgary and Edmonton. So
wow.
yeah,
So who are some of your training partners that some of our fans might know about?
they probably know about Sean Crowther. So he
Yeah.
trains with me. You know Sean, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's at that dude's probably my biggest supporter everywhere I've gone, except for when I went to Turkey and I took my daughter with me. He's been to absolutely every single event. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's our most dedicated armorist out of Red Deer for sure. And then we got a bunch of other guys. Dakota, you've met Dakota as well too, right? He
Yep.
trains
Yep.
with us as
Our
well. Then there's a
shipment.
bunch of other people that just haven't really got a chance to branch out of Red Deer and Alberta area. But we got some other really good pullers that got a shit ton of potential, but they just either don't have the funds or the time for the traveling, right? So, but
How like is it a common thing for you to kind of cross train and collaborate with, say, the other Canadian Devon on any arm wrestling thing?
like we'll
Oh,
get together and train if we're in the area, or if there's like a big thing coming up that he really wants to focus on. I'll maybe go to his area, or he'll come to my area, and we'll work together a bit. But it's not we're not close enough, right? We're
yeah.
3,000 kilometers away from each other, about 1,800 miles, right? So for us to get together on a weekend and do a practice, it's you got to book 4 or 5 days off work to make it worthwhile, right?
Right. 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 Let,
So
you also send me a video of your place, and I think that's pretty cool. Let's check this out. This your
Yeah,
crib.
that's just yeah, small and
Benches
cozy.
there.
Hey, I like it small
Oh,
and cozy.
well, I think it's a lot bigger than most places for most people. But I could tell, like, this seems like a party setup. You got your trigger, your
I just like being calm. I'm
smoker.
a big backyard person, right? I like I like a place in my backyard to feel kind of like my sanctuary. So
Oh
I
yeah,
like to be able to go in my
very
backyard when I kick back and relax.
very
So
private, kind of like hot tub there. Very nice.
yeah, you know,
Here's another. Dude, this is beautiful. This is beautiful.
yeah, that's just like a
You got-
fire pit area, right? So
Yeah, you got some
fire
string
pit.
lights there to set the mood. Dude, this
Yeah,
backyard is pretty big. You got some
yeah,
planter boxes.
yeah. That's for my vegetable gardens, but I wasn't able to plant vegetables this year. My dog likes to stand on them and look over the fence at the neighbors' dogs all the time, right? So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Okay, this is your personal home gym then.
Yeah, this is my gym, and this is also the Red Deer Arm Wrestling Club. So I host all the practices and everything that we do in Red Deer at my place. So,
Let's see. Oh wow. Pretty soon you'll be out of room, buddy.
I gotta. There's a few things I'm gonna take down and start organizing for different posters and stuff like that, right? So
Yeah, just take down
it's
the non-EVW stuff. You know what I'm saying?
that's my plan. I plan on there's that big black WL one. That one will be coming down next, and it'll be starting to get replaced with the EVW posters, right? So
Oh, hey, here's your buddy, Sean.
there he is. Hey,
First episode, EVW Cribs.
yeah,
Dude, wait, hold on. Let's go back for a second. Okay. This is a pretty sweet setup, a big TV so people could train while watching some matches. You
yeah.
got
Well, we always host like every time there was an East versus West event or something like that that I'm not able to attend.
mhm.
We'll get the whole club over and the beers will be flying. We'll get the smoker pulled down by the garage so we can get some burgers cooking on the smoker and we all partake and enjoy the wonderful show, right? So
Right, right. This is pretty legit. You have like what 4 or 5 tables there, and people could hang.
yeah,
That's what I'm saying. This is like a party house, a party house.
yeah.
Only it's on the backside.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
don't
looks
give my
pretty.
kids any ideas, hey?
Well, I mean, if they want to have a party at your place, arm wrestling, as long as you're there,
Yeah.
and your kids aren't that young anyway.
Yeah, they
So
know they can use my house to party anytime they want anyway. So
yeah, this is pretty nice. Let's see. You also have a couple of pictures so that people can have a kind of a better view. A bar top kind of well bar seating kind of style here. Yeah, we gotta replace those flags for you, buddy. I'm gonna bring a special one just for you. Present it
yeah,
to you in Switzerland. We gotta swap all these out. Not to, not have anything against any other leagues, but
yeah.
I still prefer mine. I
Well,
still
some of
prefer,
that's the history, right? The history of where
yeah.
what got me to where I am today, right?
Which is nothing wrong with that. Oh, dude, is that like a on the bottom right corner? Isn't that like a full on body massager kind of thing?
Yeah, just a massage chair. Yeah,
Or a massage.
yeah. It
Ooh.
came with my hot tub when I bought it. So
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah,
that's pretty. So this is where you spend a lot of time training then.
this is where I just spend a lot of time in general.
Okay.
If I have nothing to do, I don't sit in the house and watch TV. I'll just go sit in the garage and tinker, right? So yeah.
That's pretty funny.
If my truck's there at my house and you knock on my door and I don't answer, chances are it's because I'm sitting in the garage, right? So
Oh, because this is so you park your vehicles outside then,
yeah,
because
I park my garage, my truck in my RV pad, right? So
oh, okay. Because
yeah,
I used to park my truck outside, uh, and in the winter, it was
Yeah.
nasty. It was nasty. Waking up like 5 a.m. in the morning, 6 a.m. in the morning, and like sometimes the door would get jammed, gets all frozen. Ugh, that's
Yeah.
like the absolute worst. But
Yeah.
but yeah, but I did see the jet ski was removed from one of the pictures, but very nice.
Yeah.
Jet ski. Wow. I'm just taking it all in because I this is when I set things up, I don't go through all the pictures and videos very much because then it will kind of ruin the whole thing. So this is like one of the first few times I actually get to see in depth. But looking at things, looks like you gotta start adding quite a bit of collections of those posters and autographed shirts.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I gotta do a whole kind of revamp of my poster setup. All the ones you see that are across the top, they're the shorter ones, but we're not getting
Uh,
any smaller posters anymore. So all those I'm all going to move down. I'm going to take the bigger ones and move them up so I can stick more across the top. Get rid of the black WL ones, start planting some of the posters in there, right? And then
yes,
across the top of the TV, I have all my individual match posters.
yes,
So
yes.
they started from a couple years ago, and then I got them as I continue. I'm going to start running them all around the top of the garage, right? So
Right. Hmm.
yeah.
Not bad. Not bad. Well, because it's a flag, you could really even have it like hanging from the ceiling down.
Yeah, I was thinking
Not
about covering up the attic entrance with that flag, right? So,
Yeah, you could. That's really
yeah,
nice. Wow,
yeah.
dude, this is it's always one. Oh, somebody has a question. Uh, is that the house by you lake? Well, your lake where you arm wrestled Devin?
No, that's my personal house. That's where I live year round. The lake, the one where I'm on the lake, that's actually on the other side of the country in Devon's province in northern Ontario. So it's like 3,000 kilometers away from where I live, right? So, but every summer I usually try to book a month off to a month and a half if I could, as long as they'll let me take off anyways. And I'll drive
Right,
out to my cottage and I'll just spend a whole month and a half out there, right?
right, right,
So,
right. Okay, so I gotta go all the way back right now, right? Like, were you always athletic as a kid?
I was more of a shit disturber as a kid. I didn't really play many athletics. I wasn't disciplined. Like I had a natural athletic ability. Like in baseball, I was, when I was playing baseball, I was MVP for my team. Almost every game we played, I was like 12 years old. I had a 70-mile-an-hour fastball, but I just never. I had more fun, you know, throwing fucking rocks in the water and snowballs at cars and fucking being a little shit playing knock knock ginger than I did playing sports. So I did that, right? And I'd always be out in the bush building cabins in the bush and stuff like that, right? So like I always had coaches and principals always wanting me to come join the basketball team and everything else, but I was just like, man, I couldn't be bothered, right? I was having too much fun. As my old principal would say, he says, Matt, you can't you can't fly with the eagles during the days and hoot 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 with the owls at night, right? So, and I enjoyed the conversations I had with them owls. You know what I mean? So it was I didn't really play a whole lot of sports, right? So it wasn't until my later years in high school where I wanted to use my athletic ability towards something. I started to play football. I could have probably carried on with football, but I wasn't going to carry on going to school. So I ended up working the oil field and ended up finding out about arm wrestling and just kind of that was kind of my outlet, right? That was kind of really the only sport that I've actually fully loved and was able to take to a different level and the amount of seriousness that I do to it, right? So
And for everybody else who doesn't know the story of how you got in arm wrestling, do you mind sharing that?
Yeah. So initially, I was 16 years old. We always used to do like in my hometown, South Porcupine, Timmins, where I grew up in Northern Ontario. There was a winter carnival every year. They used to use winter carnival at one of the local pubs. And I was 16. Told my old man, if there's an arm wrestling tournament, I want to go watch it. I want to go compete in it. And he told me, you're a 16-year-old fucking kid. You're going to get your arm ripped off through a bunch of 40, 50-year-old minors. You won't stand a chance or whatever. So, of course, like any other, you know, wonderful kid, I didn't listen to a fucking thing my dad said. I snuck out of the house. I snuck in the back door of the bar. I ended up entering the tournament. I ended up dominating. And then it was, favorite movie growing up as a kid was still always Over the Top. Ended up going to Sudbury, moving away from Timmins my last year of high school to move to Sudbury because they had football. The only sports that they had in Timmins at the time were they didn't even have wrestling anymore, right? Like they only had basketball, volleyball, badminton. And I wanted a sport that would allow me to release that aggression that I had as a young child, right? So I moved to Sudbury my last year of high school so I could play football. I ended up playing for a high school team. That summer, I started playing for a men's league team. And after one of our practices, we were all messing around after a game, and one of the linemen's like, "Oh man, let's have a practice arm wrestling." And I arm wrestled them, I dusted them, and then everybody else on the team wanted to arm wrestle me, and I ended up beating everybody on the football team. And the one lineman that I was living with at the time was like, "Man, you got a God-given gift for this." He's like, "I'm going to look into it and see if I can find you an arm wrestling tournament to compete you in on the internet." And he ended up finding one that was in Southern Ontario in Wasaga Beach. And I ended up going down to that. And there was Devin Lorette was in it, Mike Gould, and Earl Wilson at the time. All of them were top competitors in the world, former national champs, some of them world champs. I ended up placing fourth against those three guys. Got beat by Mike Gould twice at the time, who was a former world champ. Month and a half later, he drove me down to provincials. I ended up competing in provincials against Devin. Ended up losing to Devin, came second against him. And then it was just shortly after that is when I took my move, went out west to Alberta to chase the old dream, and ended up competing in one of the local tournaments that we had here. And one of the old veterans that's multi-time world and national champ seen me compete. Aaron Langell is his name, and he kind of took me underneath his wing. And it's kind of a funny story because Aaron Langell, the one that took me underneath his wing and kind of taught me the whole center of the hand, the low hand top roll, and transitioning from one position to another, was the brother of Dion Langell, who was the same guy when Devin actually moved out to Alberta to go to school and to work a bit, was the one that took Devin underneath his wing and actually introduced Devin into the sport, right? So those two were brothers, and they ended up both of them kind of took us underneath their wing at certain different times. And now me and Devers are kind of considered like brothers, right? In the arm
Right.
wrestling world for Canada. So it's just kind of an ironic story how we both kind of integrated through the same family, right? So
Well, so my question is, the first few events that you competed, and though you placed fourth and whatnot, you did that all without any formal training
I had
specifically
no
on.
clue what I was doing. No
So
fucking clue. Yeah.
so did you like you had to know something? What did you go in like the over the top style and start coming in, gripping up
No,
this
I
way?
was I was blessed. I was blessed with a big hand, a strong wrist, and just a natural quick twitch fibers, right? So I was able to overcome 90% of the people just because they couldn't deal with my hand and because I had an insanely fast hit, right? So it was when they said go, it was just bang, the people were hitting the pad before they even had a chance to engage anything, right? And then
Oh,
as I developed and started to learn more, then everything else started to become more and more available to a guy, right?
right. Oh, okay, okay. So, but it was mostly side pressure. There was no top roll, no nothing
There
back
was no
then.
talk. I was just bang straight to the pad, right? Like I was initially people said I was a hooker. Oh, you got a natural hook on you. What the fuck is a hook?
Right.
You know what I
What is
mean? But
that?
like my game right now, like my ace is a top roll, right? But I was initially from the beginning, I was just hooking everybody, just smashing to the pad, but just driving inside. Didn't even have a clue what I was doing, right? So I wasn't even entering the potential of my abilities with a top roll at the time because I didn't even know what the fuck a top roll was. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, and I think most people don't necessarily. It's not a very intuitive sport. because the intuitive method of arm wrestling is side pressure. Nobody knows back pressure, top roll, and it's kind of a
Yeah.
not a normal thing. So I that's why for you to be doing so well without any formal training is just, oh, okay, you must be exceptionally strong. But
Yeah, I was just naturally gifted, right?
yeah,
Just natural gift, and then obviously the more you kind of twerk and work on that gift, the better it gets, right? So
yeah. Somebody's asking, have you ever pulled with Big Luke back then?
no, I did meet him, but Big Luke wasn't. He wasn't even really competing at that time. Like when I went to North Bay, and it was actually Big Luke that put on that provincials, the first provincials I competed at, where Devin was there, and Big Luke was there, but he wasn't even competing. I think he had just retired within a year or so prior to that of actual competitive competitions. So,
Right. Now, another question from Houdini is, who do you consider as your rival,
uh,
or just somebody you
anybody
can't stand?
standing across the fucking table from me is my rival. So.
But is there one where even at the end of the day you just can't stand this guy?
Well, yeah, there's somebody like that, but I've never really competed against them, so I can't really call him my rival, right? So,
Sure, sure.
yeah.
Okay, fair, fair. Now, is there out of the matches within the past several years, are there any that kind of stood out to you as this was your most interesting match in your own opinion?
Mm. I have some. I have some that are memorable. I have some that are some of my most favorable. Some I believe that are some of my bigger achievements. Some I really regret and I wish I had back. But I can't really think
Let's
of
start with the
one.
one, your most memorable one.
My most memorable, I would say just my match with Kurt Golly. I I felt like I
Really?
was on a completely different level. I was completely in control of it the whole time. His previous opponents, who he had faced, and what he was able to do with them, and what I was able to do with him, it was for me. It was getting back to where I feel I belong. Right. So
Right.
that was in the most
Oh,
recent years. That's one of my most memorable ones. Also, the one I had with Kelishenko, where I did end up losing, but he ended up winning the first three. Then I came back and won the next three, and then he ended up sneaking in the press on me. Like that was also a great time. Even though I lost and I didn't win any money on it, it was still a very fun match to be part of. Right. So
is that the match you were thinking of when you said, "I wish I could take back and do a
no,
do-over"?
I'd like to pull Nugo again. I'd like to definitely have another crack at Nugo. I definitely wasn't where I should have been. My headspace wasn't. I didn't concentrate and train for what I feel I should have been training for when I went to face him. So that's somebody I definitely like to pull again. Uh, there's
Mm.
also Brad Grundy. I have a loss to him that I'd like to avenge. You know, so
Yeah, that was a while back, like I think 2 years
yeah,
ago.
yeah, that was a year
Wow.
and a half or 2 years ago or something like that, right? There's
Yeah, you
things
beat you
leading
beat him
up to it.
before that, and then you lost him.
Yeah, I
So
beat him in the left
trio,
arm, and then we had the right arm match, and then
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
trio.
so
Brett Grundy, yeah. So in the Nugo match, right? Was it because was there some level of like I would say, lack of better word, like overconfidence, like yeah, I'm gonna smoke that guy, so it's okay,
oh, I
or
didn't even think he was even close to being on the fucking same level as me. I was like, I thought I was just gonna go in there and toy with him myself. I wasn't. I didn't train specifically for thinking how short his arm was and where my arm was going to be. I didn't really try to dissect hand positions or anything like that on him. I literally thought I was going to go in there. He was going to get swallowed into my hand, and I was just going to do what I needed to do with him from there. Right? Honestly, like Dan, I was thinking it was going to be more of an entertainment match just because we're both a bunch of hotheads on the table. right? And
Right.
dude's a real fucking deal. He's the real deal. So,
Yeah,
but
I think you ruin everybody's fantasy bracket that day because everybody's like, "Oh, yeah, Matt caught this," and so we were pleasantly surprised, and Hugo's no slouch either, so we were like, "Whoa." That was one of the more interesting matches, because
yeah, it was. It's something. It's one I'd really like to get back. It's one I'd like to. Obviously, I've got to work my way back from the bottom up there again, right? So,
yeah,
but
yeah. I
but
wouldn't say
it's
bottom, but yeah,
well, not bottom, but you know what I mean.
yeah,
I got to earn it, right? Right now,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
going for that world title spot. Had I had beaten him, that could have been me pulling Petranko, right? And that's what I was wanting at the time. And I went with the wrong approach, thinking I got this guy ain't even on the same level as me. Whereas he is a real threat and he is a contender, and I should have took him, gave him the amount of respect that he actually deserved before I even stepped up across the table from him, right?
Fair,
So
fair. I mean, uh, it's a lesson learned thing, and never get too confident. And but I mean, some of your matches have been as of late. Now, barring Phillip Larson, you pulled him, and he was 2 weight classes heavier than you, so that wasn't an
yeah, and
exceptional
that
one.
was another one too. I wasn't just the amount of years that he has in the sport. I'm like, there's no way. Like, there's in my
Oops.
eyes, I don't think there's a person on the fucking planet that's only been in the sport for 3 years, where even if I wasn't trained up, I wouldn't be able to dominate or completely dance around them just with technique style.
Yeah, right. Oh, I guess Matt lagged out for a second, but piecing his words together, thinking that Philip Larson's a little newer than him, uh, it was kind of unexpected for him to be that good and that strong. Um, yeah,
You
and for everybody else. Oh, is Matt coming
know
back?
what
Sorry, Matt. Losing you there for a second.
I
Oh,
mean? So I really, I was not expecting him to be as progressed as he is, for the amount of time he's in the sport, the amount of in the sport 2 to 3 times long. In I wasn't, yeah, like I was at my cottage for a month prior to that.
oh, oh, there we go.
Oh, you're there.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay.
Great, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you was talking about
So,
Philip. You were
but
at
yeah,
a
like
cottage
the
for a
amount
month.
of progress that Philip is an anomaly in my eyes. Like he is, for the amount of time he's been in the sport, the size of the man, the connection on him, like his ceiling. I don't see a ceiling on him right now. He's been doing this steadily. He's probably, in my eyes, the most improved arm wrestler on the planet for the amount of time that he's been in the sport.
Wow. Wow.
In,
That's
in my eyes,
big
he
praise.
is. And if he continues on the path that he is, I can't see him not being a contender for the top three in that super heavyweight division within the next 2 to 3 years if he continues on the path that he is.
Wow. So
And
that's
that's my God honest truth. So
Hermes and Devin. Watch out.
yeah, it's like, it's true, right? Like he's really, really, really good. And that's why after that match I told Robert, I says, okay, I ain't taking any more super heavyweight matches. You know what I mean? Like, I says, if I am taking a super heavyweight match or a 115 kg match, I want at least 10 weeks. I says, I want to be in the 105 kg, but I says I will pull the 115 kg, but I says I need 10 weeks to try to get myself at least close to 250 for it, right? So which I'm working on right now. I'm trying to get closer to that 115 mark because I've been walking around 230 to 270 37 pounds for the last year and a half, right? So it's just because it's more natural, it's easier for me to be there, for me to maintain 250 pounds. I'm eating $2,500 worth of food a month, and I'm shitting 3 times a day the size of a fucking small gopher, right? So it's so I'm trying to push myself to get up to that 253 mark, trying to put on a little bit more mass, a little bit more connective tissue. So there's going to be, it should be a hell of a banger between me and Kalashenko, that's for sure, come November 1st in Switzerland. So
Yeah, your most memorable match, because I've seen you pull how many times now since Ongabayev? No, since Marcio Barboza,
yeah.
right? That was back in Atlantic
I was
City.
Atlantic City,
Yeah.
I think,
So
wasn't
so I've seen
it?
you
Yeah.
pull like what 5, 6 times now,
Yeah.
and of all of the matches, the one that stood out most to me was your match against Irakli, because we were
Yeah, that
like,
was a
oh
fun
man,
one too.
you're
Which is
like,
weird with my left, right?
God,
Because I've always been a right arm wrestler,
right?
and my left is like weirdly good right now. Like it's like I haven't lost, knock on wood, but I haven't lost a match in my left in over 2 years. Like like I'll go on a little
Mm.
streak with my right for 2 3 matches, and then I'll lose one or two, and then I'll go on a streak for 2 3 matches, and I'll lose one or two. But my left, and the one that I usually try to avoid just because it's always sore and it's always tweaky, is right now it's my better arm. It's more my moneymaker than my right is, which is
The
weird,
tweaky arm.
right?
Huh.
Yeah, like if I have a match, usually for the next 2 months, my arm fucking hurts. Like I have not actually specifically trained my left arm in the last 3 years. Because anytime like yeah, I'll do some table time with my left, and it's more
Mhm.
so just to give my right a little bit of a break to get the blood flow out. But when
Right.
I do weights or anything like that, I don't even bring my left arm into play. All my weights and everything are all done with my right all the time. The only training I do with my left is on the table. And the only reason why I do that is just to give my right a break. And and when I do start to feel good and I'll push it hard, then it hurts for like the next 2 3 months, right? So I'll just baby it and take it easy with it until I have a match. I'll have my match. I'll put out 110% on that match. I end up winning it, and it's sore for the next month and a half. I can barely even use it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we got a match for you. I'm like, fuck, it's the left. This is gonna kill me, right? and I end up and I end up doing good, and then it's sore for the next month and a half. But over the course of since I pulled Iraqi, it was a little tweaky for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, but it's felt really good since then. So like I've actually started lifting weights and everything with it. I'm starting to do more pulley shit. So it's starting to feel a little more connected like my right has felt in the long for the longest time, right? So I might actually be able to start progressing it now as opposed to just trying to maintain it or recover it, right? So,
Fair,
but
fair.
yeah,
Yeah, I
it's really
mean,
weird, really weird. So
yeah, 105 left. Who you haven't pulled a lot of left. I think Irakli was one. I think the one before that was, man, I don't even know.
like I pulled guys in North America, stuff like that, right?
Brad.
But not
Yeah,
nothing major of the Europeans or anything, right? So
yeah, not very common, but no. Well, I mean, it's good to know. Maybe left is your secret
yeah,
power. But
maybe it is, yeah, or maybe it's just a temporary fix until my right comes back into play.
oh yeah, I mean, yeah, that is pretty funny. Okay, so now here's the other thing that we have, right? What do you mentor anybody? And if you do, what are some of your advice for people who are just barely starting arm wrestling? Like, because the way that you started was a really unorthodox method where you actually competed first and then figure out how to arm wrestle,
Mhm.
right? Whereas, is that the route you think people should be taking? Or
I don't think anybody should be avoiding tournaments. I think you're going to gain more experience competing in a tournament than you will going to practice all day, every day. Practice, you're going to learn how to use techniques. You're going to learn where you're strong, where you're weaker, but you're not going to build to get any better in competition unless you do competitions. It's that nerves, the referees straight setting you up, squaring your shoulder, straightening your wrist, straightening your hand out. You know what I mean? Making sure your shoulder isn't too close to your hand. The anticipation of the go when they say go, that initial fire. You know what I mean? Like you can mimic it and shit in practice, but it's not the same as when you're up there on the stage and you have 50, 100, 1,000 people watching you and the nerves are going on. Being able to think while you're in that position when everything else is going on, you can't really mimic that in practice, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
You can create phenomenal good habits in practice. So when it comes to a time like that, and you're on the stage and your adrenaline's going, you're not really thinking, you're just going to do what happens naturally. And that's where
Hmm.
you're going to build that up, is going to be in practice by repeating it 1,000 times over, 1,000 times over. And it just becomes just an automatic movement for yourself without even having to think about it. It's just a reaction, right? So I think both are equally as important. Um, like I got a few guys that I train with, that I've been training with for a while, but like some of those guys I've been training with, like Sean, for instance, I've been training with him. I taught him a bunch of shit right from the beginning, but now it's to the point where he's almost teaching me some stuff sometimes. You know what I mean? Just because he doesn't stop watching videos, he's looking for other outlets, listen to other people's opinions. You know what I mean? So you're slowly, eventually, the guys that you do start to mentor, you know what I mean? They kind of help you back in the same process as they start to progress and they start to get better in the sport as well, right? So, but I would say the biggest thing to help yourself if you're new becoming into the sport is is shutting the fuck up, putting your pride at the fucking door when you walk in the table to practice, and listening to the guys that are at the table with more experience than you. And if there's one person out there that tells you, I will be able to teach you everything you know, if you ever want to become great, I am the person that's going to do it for you, they're full of shit. They're absolutely full of shit, because there's I've learned lots from one or two people, but it was going around competing or training with hundreds and thousands of different people, feeling hundreds and thousands of different hands, to what I was able to figure out what worked best for me. You know what I mean? Like, someone may be a master at this and they'd be able to teach you the best ways to do it, but your natural strengths may be stronger somewhere else, right? So every single arm wrestler out there, whether they've got a year experience into the sport or they have 15, 20 years experience into the sport, everybody's got their own story. You know what I mean? Your story ain't going to end up being the same as theirs, but you can probably take a little bit of their chapter, a little bit of persons of this chapter, a little chapter from this person over here that you've trained with, and a little chapter from this person on the podcast there,
Yeah.
and you can all put it together and kind of write your own story, what works best for you with your technique, with your hand styles, with your strengths and your weaknesses, right? So I
Right.
say arm wrestle as many people as you can, feel as many hands as you can, hear as many stories as you can, and put together what works best for you. Because arm wrestlers are like snowflakes. There's not two that are 100% identical the same, right? So
Okay. When you said snowflake, I paused for a second because that meant something
yeah,
else
I
to
don't
me.
mean that kind of snowflake. Fuck, right? So yeah, yeah.
Sean
All
just
the
said,
all the snowflakes we have are competing in GVW. Eh? No, I'm just
"Oh,
kidding. Ouch. Yeah.
Sean just mentioned he you mentor all of the guys at the Red Deer Arm Wrestling Club. None of them would be nearly as good without your guidance, and you have a much higher table IQ than people realize. Honestly speaking, though, I think many, well, almost everybody who competes at EVW has pretty high table IQ. because
Mhm.
else you really need that. If you don't, you, it's very hard for you to succeed otherwise. You can only get that far without a combination of, you know, table IQ plus physical, strength, I guess. So,
Mhm.
so I think there is that component, but for the most part, seeing how your style, it's you bring a lot of energy, a lot of fire, a lot of. Is that would you be the same if it's in a closed room where there is no audience? So essentially, what I'm alluding to, some people feed off the energy of the crowd. Is
Well,
that
it
similar
definitely,
to you?
the energy from the crowd definitely helps fuel you. But it's more just the competition of it, right? Like what gets me going. Like if I'm arm wrestling somebody where it's for something and it means something and I'm worried about them, I I don't like it doesn't just naturally come. I got to build it up in myself, right? Like I got
Sure.
like I walk around almost all the time. I'm kind of I'm not angry, but I got skeletons in my closet. You know what I mean? Like I'm a type of guy where if I didn't learn how to control my emotions, I'd probably walk around and just fucking throat punch people just because they piss me off with the look on their fucking face, right? But I've really learned to be able to control that shit as a man, and I push it in and I push it in and I push it in, and I kind of lock it all in and I seal it
Mhm.
up, and arm wrestling is kind of my outlet. You know what I mean? Like if I didn't have somewhere where I could let that out, I'd have to go into the bush once a month myself and hack a tree down and scream at the top of my lungs or whatever the fuck I need to do. But arm wrestling for me is that escape. And I take all them little demons that end up arising throughout the next couple weeks and the next couple months, everything that kind of pisses me off. And instead of just releasing it, being done with it, I kind of take it and I was like, I'm going to hang on to this for later. And I'll kind of put it inside and I'll put it inside. And then when it comes time where the day of competition and leading up to it, I'm slowly starting to almost aggravate those demons, if that makes sense. Like I have them
Sure.
all in a cage, and I just kind of poke them. You know what I mean? I'll let a little bit of the surface, and I'll take all that energy, that evil, bad energy that I'm harnessing inside of me, and I kind of start to slowly focus it towards the person that I'm going to be competing against. And when they call my name to the table, I kind of just let it all out. You know what I mean? So
So you're saying that I should call your kids up and have them annoy the crap out of you and just let it
my
bottle
kids
it in.
don't do it to me, and it's not my kids that do it to me,
Say
right?
again? Work
Yeah,
maybe?
because they're my kids, right? Like they can't really they don't make me mad. They make me frustrated, but it's different, right? You know what I mean?
Okay.
I picture people calling my kids up and saying bad things, and I picture people pushing my kids in the dirt, throwing rocks at my dog. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that, right? You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I focus all that energy. A picture, somebody says something, you're useless, you're not able to do it, or blah blah. You know what I mean? And I take that instead of fuck you. I take it. Oh, okay, thank you. Have a good day. And I take that. Oh, I'll save that for later. You know what I mean? And I'll just tuck it inside, right? So I take all that doubt, all that anger, all the all the disrespect and everything that's happened to me over the course of a period of time, and I kind of just balled it up. I feed it a little bit, and then I let it out. Right?
Alright. So for the rest of the world, if you guys are watching this, right, all arm wrestlers, whenever you see Matt prior to an event, everybody please disrespect Matt because
Yeah.
apparently he channels that into energy at the table. So
Don't do
piss
it.
him
Don't
off.
do it too close because there
Oh,
might
okay.
be a little too aggravated, and I might not be able to control it.
Okay, okay. Maybe a week before that, or maybe at the airport. Everything stops at the airport.
Yeah.
That was funny. So then, what about training time? How much time do you get to train, or do you plan?
It all depends. It all depends. Like I usually try to host table time at least twice a week if I could. Sometimes I'll do it 3 times. And I base majority of my training around my table time. So every day I'll do something, like at least something physical that's attributed towards arm wrestling.
Mhm.
Whether I'm able to do it for an hour and a half or if I just spend 15 minutes on it. You know what I mean? But I try
Right.
to put a little bit of time each day towards something on it. You know what I mean? So, and if I have more time, sometimes I'll do 2 workouts in a day. I'll do one in the morning and then in the evening I'll end up doing another one, right? So it all depends, and I base a lot of it off of how I feel from arm wrestling practice. So if I have a really good practice and my arms are tender and it's the next day and it's time for me to do a workout, I'll start off and I'll grab 30 pounders and I'll go to do a little bit of exercise, and it kind of a little tweaky or it's a little hurt because I trained so hard the day before. I'll put the 30s down and I'll pick up the 10 pounders. You know what I mean? If I pick up the 30s and it's like, well, these actually don't hurt that much, like my muscles and my joints feel good, I'll put them down and I'll pick up 50 pounders. If they still feel good, then I'll just pick up heavier weight, right? So I'm not like some of those people where they have the PRs and they keep their books and they kind of keep track of it all the time.
Right.
Because I find that's how people injure themselves more, is because they're always trying to push their limit, but all of a sudden they have a really good practice where you're coming into that training session at say 70 or 80%, and you're not able to push the weight you were before. You're either trying to break that PR or you're trying to lift something that you're not actually physically able to because your body's more beat down. That's where I find people end up hurting and tweaking themselves. So I'm more of a believer in
Listen to your
listening to my
body
body.
quite a bit.
Yeah, one hundred
Yeah.
percent. So I pick it up, and if it's not tweaky, well, we're pushing hard today. You know what I mean? If I
Right.
pick it up and it feels tweaky, I'll grab lightweight and I'll just do blood forward recovery. You know what I mean? So
Oh, okay, okay. Then
yeah,
do you have any like hobbies that you do outside of arm wrestling?
uh, I don't know. Like I enjoy fishing. You know what I mean? When I'm at my cottage, I enjoy killing walleye and turning them into poop. You know, um, I enjoy tinkering, doing little projects around the house, little renovations, shit like that. I enjoy going boating, you know, enjoy going out for a rip on the sea-doo and, trying to make my kids scream or fall off the back, or smashing them around on the tube when the time comes, right?
Right.
But yeah, more pretty much any spare time I have, majority of it is either used to either hang out with my kids or I'm arm wrestling. You know what I mean? Like I don't really have a whole lot of that joy, what they call in my life, right? I'm more just a workhorse, right? That's kind of what I've been my whole life, right? So
So Matt, workhorse mask, not wild
kind of,
horse.
yeah, yeah. I don't usually stop. When I stop, I fall asleep, right? So like I'll get up at 7, 8 in the morning and I start doing the shit that I need to take care of that needs to get done that day or shit that I want to accomplish. And I
Mhm.
just keep going until 10 o'clock rolls around. It's like, oh, I'm getting tired. I'm going to go sit down for a minute. As soon as I sit down, I'm sleeping, right? You know what I mean? So,
Right.
yeah.
So the other thing is while you're at the oil rig, you're usually there for like a day, 48 hours, 72 hours. Like
Yeah.
do you miss training then? Or do you
No,
pick
I
up like
got,
a
I got,
like
I got bungee cords and stuff attached to the holy shit handles on the
Hmm.
passenger side of my truck, right? So when I'm
Mhm.
sitting there, I'll just work my bands and stuff, right? So, and then also when I'm picking up tools, instead of just grabbing it and dragging stuff across the floor, I'll try to cradle it in one arm. You know what I mean? So I'm still getting a little bit of something, something, right? Sometimes I'll bring my karate belt with my dumbbells hanging off of it, and I'll sit bring it into the shack, and I'll sit there and I'll do pronation shit or rising stuff or brachialis work while I'm working, right? So
Okay, so that's and you mentioned bungee cords in your truck is like reminds me of literally over the top.
Yeah, yeah,
It's-
yeah. It's not a pulley system. They're just bungee
yeah,
cords, right?
right, right.
But yeah, like I'll be driving to work and I'll just start cranking. You know what I mean? Or I'll,
Lincoln
be
Hawk
sitting on the
style.
rig, sitting in my truck watching them run pipe in the ground, and I'll grab onto my bungee cords and start pulling away. Right. So
Here's another buddy. Neil's index finger says, "I used to feel small on the table with Matt. Avoided pulling him for a long time, which I regret. Everything he has told me when I have pulled with him, I think of in my mind every time I approach the table. Have a lot of respect for Matt as a person. Don't know who this guy really is, but uh, I don't know who his real name is,
I
but."
don't know. I'm assuming he trains with us. That must be his troll name, so nobody knows who he is.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to reveal your name, that would be pretty cool. Another question for you. Sorry, I'm having a little phlegm these days. Houdini Sports. We need Matt's top 5 arm wrestlers of all time. First that comes to mind, all time.
John Brzenk.
Okay,
John Brzenk, number one. Yeah,
okay.
John Brzenk for sure. Number one. They may not be able to bang or be as good as some of the ones that we have at the top of the game nowadays, but in my eyes, he was decades above everybody else for the longest time. His ability to be able to pull in every position on the table, his transitions from one technique to another, just the table IQ that man had. He couldn't explain it to you, but just the ability he had to be able to feel it as soon as he grabbed onto somebody's hand. Number one, John Brzenk. Number two, Devin Lorette. Uh, Also super, super versatile. Phenomenal table IQ. Uh, does whatever the hell it takes to win at all costs. And obviously, the biggest influencer that we have in arm wrestling nowadays. You know what I mean? Everybody you talk to, as soon as you mention arm wrestling, the first thing they mention is, "Oh, you know Devin Lorette?" No, I never heard of the fucking guy. Like, obviously, I know Devin Lorette, right? So Devin number two, uh, number three, number three. This may take you for a shock. I say Ron Bath. Ron Bath, in my eyes, is a third greatest arm wrestler of all time. If John Brzenk never existed, it would have been Ron Bath would have been known as the GOAT. You know what I
I've
mean?
heard of that
So
before. Yeah.
yeah, so Ron Bath, just his, and he's not super technically smart on the table. He's just raw power strong. You know what I mean? Like he's our Clint Eastwood of the arm wrestling world. You know what I mean? Looked like he was 60 years old from the time he was 20 fucking four. That leather face that he has, right? But yeah, just the brute strength without him, without John, we all would have been putting Ron, I believe, on this pedestal because for decades Ron placed second to John everywhere they went. Right. So John Brzenk number three, or Ron Bath number three, number four Levon, obviously because right now Levon has created a whole different pinnacle for every arm wrestler that walks the planet. So like there's nobody I don't think that is thinking that, oh, I'm just going to go in and do this. Like Levon has set a new level for the strength of arm wrestling. So Levon definitely has to be on that list. And then number five is a toss up. Um, I'm going to say it's a toss up between Saplinkov, and then it's also a toss up between, in my eyes, Cobra Rhodes. So Dennis Saplinkov recognized for his ability to be able to do what he has in the strength with the amount of technique and table IQ that he had. Because if you look at his matches, there wasn't a lot of table IQ involved in Dennis Saplinkov. He was just that fucking strong. You know what I mean? He had the
Mhm.
ability to be able to just put humans in positions that they weren't comfortable just because he was that strong. You know what I mean? And I don't know if he realized exactly what he was doing, but he just had that much fucking power. And Cobra Rhodes, because in my eyes, he's one of the best top rollers that ever walked the planet. From from 154 pounder, he was for decades. He pretty much dominated the sport and the worlds at that lighter levels. You know what I mean? His ability to build to top roll, transition to presses, his control that he had with this part of his hand
Mm-hmm.
was insane compared to many other arm wrestlers. So he even at 154 pounds, he was dominating guys over 300 pounds just with his ability to be able to pronate through their hand and the hand control that he obsessed, right? So those are my top five.
So Neil's index finger is Brian.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'll bring that.
Yeah.
That rang a bell.
Yeah. You should never have given away your secrets, Brian.
GB19 mentioned, Matt, if Hermes stopped Levon, don't you think Prime John can as well?
I don't think so. I think the level of strength in the sport compared to where it was 10, 15 years ago is completely different. It's completely different with engineering and the advancement of technology and everything else, to where a human body can get to for strength now is different compared to where it was 15, 20 years ago with what you had available to you at that time. So like even now, like look at, you go to a strongman competition, Eddie Hall held the record for the longest fucking time, and now it's like it almost seems like every strongman competition they're
A new record broken.
beating the previous fucking record. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like
right.
it's like the sport, even the amount of knowledge and everything that's out there now. Like John was way more knowledgeable than every other fucking arm wrestler on the planet without even him even being able to explain it on where his knowledge is coming from or what he's doing. Uh, and now you got people that are 10 times stronger than they ever used to be, and that knowledge is available to all these people now through podcasts, YouTube, social media, everything else. Everybody's talking about their techniques, their stories, their little tricks and everything else that they do to try to get it. So it's there's a level of strength that has increased, and there's a level of technical ability that has widely increased throughout the arm wrestlers of history. So
Now,
I think he would maybe give him a go, but I don't think he would be able to beat Levon. So I don't think he would.
he's, somebody saying he's from Timmins, same age as you. Are you like, remind me, are you 42?
44? 44.
44. 44. So have you ever pulled
Yeah.
John Berding?
Yeah.
So then you would be a pretty good indicator of his capabilities. You do have a good point. I think the advancement in even training techniques, and back in John's time, there was no social media, there's no YouTube channel for people to learn from one another.
Well,
Right?
and the money wasn't there. You know what I mean? Like the money and the sponsorship, and like everybody that arm wrestler, even the Europeans, had full-time jobs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like now you got people like, and John, throughout the whole process of what he was doing, he was a full-time fucking airline mechanic. So he's twisting wrenches 5 days a week, and then all of a sudden every other weekend he's at an arm wrestling competition. You know what I mean? But now
Right.
it's like we have, there's at least like 15, 20 arm wrestlers I can think of off the top of my head that this is all they do. You know what I mean? Like this is it. They don't do anything else. They rely on their sponsorships, on their winnings, and on their purses that their governments give them for how well they do in the sport to survive. So it's for some people it's a full-time job. This is what they do 24/7. Like Krasner Konstantinov, that's all he does is arm wrestles. You know, so you got other guys that are like John went and became an airplane mechanic so he can fly around the world to as cheap as he could for arm wrestling tournaments. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
now you got guys that are becoming personal trainers so they can spend every fucking
More time in
waking
the gym.
hour of the day in the gym training not only for themselves but training other people. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right.
So
Do
so
you
it's
have any
the amount
plans to
of
move?
dedication that has actually gone into the sport now for athletes is the amount of dedication that we've never seen before. You know what I mean? Like it's a whole different level of dedication that people are able to apply into the sport now than that has never existed. You know what I mean? So
Is that where you envision yourself one day to do is full-time arm wrestling?
well, that would be great, but honestly, it's I don't know if I'd ever be able to make enough in arm wrestling to be able to do that. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I've been so spoiled with the amount of money that I make in the oil field.
Right.
Like arm wrestling really needs to blow the fuck up in order for me to walk away from my day job because I'm guaranteed X amount of money a year by doing something that comes naturally to me, right? You know,
Makes sense.
so and my job is a guarantee, right? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like arm wrestling, I fucking love arm wrestling. I want to arm wrestle until my arm won't move anymore, until I can't straighten my arm, I can't bend my arm, or even grab on anything anymore. And the arthritis has kicked in so much where I'm not able to do it. But at the end of the day, I need to eat. You know what I mean? And
Sure, sure.
if I stop winning and I'm not, all of a sudden an entertainer and people want to start watching me arm wrestle, where the fuck am I going to get my money from? You know what I mean? So it's yeah, like I want to be able to fucking retire. I'd love to be able to get to a point where that's all I would be able to do. But realistically, in my mind, it's like I can't really concentrate on that too much because I don't think I'm going to be able to make the amount of money that I could to be able to put myself in a retirement where I'm not going to have to work the rest of my life off of arm wrestling with the amount of time I think I may have left in the sport. You know what I mean? Just because the wear and tear on the elbows, the shoulders, the amount of young guys that are coming in and the potential that they possess, and the amount of time and everything else they're dedicating into it. It's like I've got five. I'm hoping 7 or 8 more years where I can ride still kind of this top wave and still be somewhat of a contender and still enjoy the show and be it. But I don't see it being my meal ticket. You know what I mean? So it's like I need to make sure when the time comes that I still have a bit of a ticket. You know what I mean? So
Right.
like for me, I'm just I've and in my eyes I've reached my pinnacle. You know what I mean? Like I remember when not my pinnacle. Like I think I'm gonna still continue to get better. I think I'm gonna make some more waves. I think there's, I do believe I am gonna have a title around my belt here one of the days. So it's not my pinnacle, but I've reached in my eyes. This was my goal for arm wrestling. You know what I mean? Like I always remember I was watching it when I was paying to compete and drive around and chasing little trophies here and there or a little piece of paper that said I was the best that single day. It was my goal to be like, man, how awesome it would be to be able to get my flights, my accommodations covered, and maybe make like $1,000 to do this. Like, how awesome that would be. Like, that would be the ultimate level to be at. You know what I mean? So, and I'm here now. Like, yeah, I'd like to make more. I'd like to be able to do more. I'd like to travel more and see more. But at the same token, it's like, you know what? I've reached my goal that I've wanted to achieve from when I first got into the sport, and and as opposed to pushing, I'm at a mindset in my time right now where I'm like, okay, I want to keep pushing and get better, but I also don't want to miss what's going on right now around me, right? I want to kind of enjoy a little bit of this ride. I pushed so hard to get to where I am, and I don't want to forget or miss what's actually going on around me right now. I want to be able to enjoy some of it at the same time too. You know what I mean? So 10 years down the road, if I'm not able to do it anymore, I'm like, oh yeah, I did that, but I don't remember much of it. You know what I mean? Because I was too busy pushing, trying to be the best. And it's like, I want to be able to sit back in 10 years from now and go, man, that was so fucking cool. I got to do this. And I was hanging out with this person. I got to arm wrestle with that person. I've accomplished this. And I'm trying to enjoy and embrace all of it more. You know what I mean? So as opposed to just push, that's not enough. That's not enough. That's not enough. I want it to be enjoyable, right? Because
Right.
this is where I want it to be. And it's like, I'm here. So like, fuck, enjoy the fucking ride a little bit now, right?
I think Gold Star made a good point. I think Devin and Todd are showing the world that they can be top of the sport in their 50s. And I think with the advancements of like stem cells, and I think they just had a new gel that they're testing on that literally will grow into, I think, like cartilages and whatnot. And so I think you're selling yourself short. I think to only
Well, no,
think that you're
I'm just being realistic, right? You know what I mean?
right. With the
Like
current state potentially,
I don't want to
right.
be if I can do this for 25 more fucking years, fuck me, I'm gonna ride it as long as I can, and I'm gonna do everything I can to try to hope I still can. But at the same token, it's like, okay, enjoy what you can now, because you know you're only one injury or one bad move or one mistake away from possibly not being able to do it for a while, or maybe never again at that level, right? You know what I mean? So
Well,
I
you
don't want to be too busy chasing. I want to actually enjoy a little bit of it too, right? I'm still going to chase. Like I'm never not going to stop chasing. It's
right,
in my blood.
right,
It's ingrained in me to always want to be better, always want to improve, and always want more. But you know, for so many things in my life, I've I've always chased, and I've never actually stopped to actually smell the flowers a little bit along the way. You know what I mean? Like it was like, okay, that's done. What's next? What's next? And it's like, fuck, you didn't even like. Do you realize what you just did? Step back and take a look for a second. You know what I mean?
right,
So while I'm trying to chase still, I'm still trying to enjoy where I've got myself to, because in my eyes, this was where I always wanted to be. You know what I mean?
right, right,
So,
right.
like right now, I'm living my dream in arm wrestling. You know what I mean? My dream in arm wrestling is what I'm doing right now. You know, so
Well, that's really good to hear. For and I know we're out of time because you have to get back to work. But before we end, can I ask you if what is there a statement that you would like Sergey Kalinichenko, your next match in Switzerland, to see? I don't know if you want to give a quick 30 seconds, shout out to him or like what do you have to say to him?
I don't think I need to say anything to him. I think he knows we both have experience on the table with each other. He knows what's coming. You know what I mean? He knows who he's going to get. He's phenomenal arm wrestler himself, and there's somebody that's young still, that's still really hungry, that has so much more room to grow. You know what I mean? And this is, I believe, is his first real left arm match that's going to actually challenge. He had a little bit of a match there with Devin in the left before, but I think this is his first real competitive match he's had with his left arm since he broke his arm. So, you know, I just hope I don't put him in the same state he was 7 years ago. That's all. So I hope it's just a little bump in the road for him, and then he's able to get back to the table. But I don't see him beating me on November 1st. I see it being a hell of a show. I see myself having to dig fucking deep for it. I
Hmm.
don't see him beating me in the left arm November 1st. So I don't.
Well, thank you, Matt. I know it's we had to reschedule a little bit to make this podcast a little earlier in the day because of
Yeah, the
work
oil field
obligations.
kind of fucked us on that, eh? So,
Yeah. So
yeah,
thank you. Have a good day. Stay safe. We'll see you in Switzerland, November 1st.
you bet. Thanks for having me on,
Thanks,
Dexter, and we'll
and thank
chat
you
soon.
everybody for watching. Likes,
Yep.
subscribe, and share. Thanks.
And don't forget to buy the fucking pay per view.
Oh yes, yes. Thank you.